Hi everyone. So this is me, the obese me that has to lose weight. But actually I have put on weight because I used to wear a large and now I wear an extra large, so I have put on weight. But I'm looking forward to losing it and to keeping to my diet and getting back to where I need to be. So today is a beautiful day here in Toronto. And I've been keeping up to date with the news of Palestine as well as Israel, what's happening there, and the floods. I think it's crazy that people are cloud seeding and then places are getting flooded and people are dying and they're carrying on. Apparently the same thing's happening in San Francisco and in California. They're doing cloud seeding and the experts are saying it's not necessary because it's creating more problems than we need. But what do I know? I guess we'll have Greta Thunberg going and continuing her protests. But I like to watch all the different news channels because then I get a broad spectrum of perspectives. So I watch the Christian Broadcasting Network, I watch CNN, I watch our local Canadian TV, and then it's interesting to see how news gets reported and what people focus on. So on my personal side, my goal for this month is going to be making sure that I get in my steps every day, making sure that I focus on what I'm eating. Bananas are supposed to be good for helping to keep the body in balance and losing weight. So hopefully I'll be able to get fresh fruit. Sometimes I don't. I cut back on my groceries as well and what I'm using because things are hard for everybody. And I do try to go to church on a weekly basis when I can. If I'm working, then sometimes I have to work at the weekends, so I don't get to go to church at the weekends, but I'll go during the week. So it just depends on what schedule I have and what's available. I like to go at the weekends because we believe in the Sabbath and we keep it. But again, some of these things are out of my control. And I'm focusing on staying healthy and staying positive and taking action for the things I believed in and trying to make a difference. I'm hoping that there'll be other opportunities to build relationships with people. I reached out to Sting to ask him whether there'll be opportunities to meet him. I look forward to one day making the kind of money where I can pay $1,000 and $3,000 to go and see some of these people. But right now I can't afford that. So we have the pay-in for here in Canada now. So with Sting's ticket, that's what I'm doing. I want to go and see him because he's coming after a long, long time. So I'm doing it that way. We have Klana. And so hopefully I'll go and I'll be able to see him. Hopefully everything will go well for that. And then just looking forward to getting back into work. I'm fortunate that our HR team has reached out to me and they're also trying to see. They know I've been trying to get into HR for a long time and trying to get off the phones because my ears do hurt me. And when I stabilize, they're fine, but I do get painful ears, I get painful eyes, so hopefully things will fall into place. And just focusing on my own life. I'm grateful to my mother because apparently nobody in my extended family likes me. And my mother was left to tell me that they don't like how I approach things, they don't like the emails I send to my mother, they don't like the fact that I want to spend time with my mother. They don't like having to make plans and include me. They want to make the plans and expect me to just fit in. And I am not that way. I mean, maybe it's cultural. I really don't know, but that's not how we grew up in Zimbabwe. Some people say, oh, it's the Indian culture, but I really don't get it, because when we grew up in Zimbabwe, we used to always, everybody's life and everybody's plan was taken into consideration. One person wasn't left out and expected to just fit in when we grew up in Kwe Kwe. All of our families were considered, everybody had an input and had a say. And then my mother when the police told me that the family is saying you're obsessed and fixated with them, I was like, what? And Credit Suisse, I was like, what? I mean, pick up the phone and tell somebody, we don't want you in our life anymore. We don't want you to come to anything anymore. And we are deciding this. We would like you to just live your life and you get on with your life and leave us out of your life. Don't create problems for me when I've worked hard and I've done a good job and I've tried to build a career, and then coordinate with other people's companies to put calls through, to harass me, to break down my mental health. I mean, it's not fair to me. I was my sister's Maid of Honour at her wedding, and I've never interfered in her life. I stand up for her. If I see people are not treating her properly, I tell them. But I've never interfered in her life, in her marriage. So I got a shock when my mother told me. I was like, I don't interfere in anybody's life. What are you talking about? She's like, stay out of it. I said, oh, stay out of what? I'm her sister. I don't even know anything that's going on. Please don't take it out on me. And that's what I told all of them. I've told all of them now, if that's what they're going to do, coordinate it through the police, through the parish, through my companies and everything, they should just leave me out of their lives, because I honestly do not need it. I have my own problems to deal with, just like they've got their own problems to deal with. That's not my Indian culture. I don't know which Indian culture they came from, or which mixed race marriages they came from, where people feel they have a right to do that and to impose on me that they think I'm incapable of holding a job and they think I'm incapable of making decisions. My mother will stand by me. If Bono sends me a ticket to come and go to him, whether it's in Las Vegas or in Ireland or wherever, she'll say, go. If you want to go, go. Even with my career decisions, I'm applying to jobs in Australia, in Ireland, in England. They know that I want to go if I get a break. So I hope they remember it, because all those calls and all that came through, they all recorded. Even in the contact center, they all recorded. And I'm tired of it, because I've done nothing to my mother other than be supportive of her. I've always supported her decisions. I've supported her healthcare decisions, her personal choices. When she got married, it was hard for me, because I was the one that looked after her. I was the one who brought her to Canada. I was the one that sponsored her. I was the one that fought for her, and I got no credit for it from the family. None. Only my brother said thank you to me for what I did. And not that I expect them to say thank you, but at least give me credit. Don't go around telling people I'm incapable of holding a job and then try to get involved with what I'm doing with Bono and Roger Federer and all of them when you haven't done the work. If you want to do the work and post comments on social media and take action and sign petitions and reach out, have the courage to reach out to the non-profits that work with Bruce Springsteen, that work with Sting, that work with Roger Federer. If you have that courage and you have that, what I did, then please go ahead and do it. But don't spoil what I did, because it took a lifetime for me. And I was not always as coordinated as I am now. I went for music lessons when I was small, because I could not even lift my hands in together. One hand used to do this, one hand used to do that. My piano teacher used to walk behind me, and she used to help me to coordinate myself. And slowly, slowly I came right. So it's not like it was easy for me. But yeah, that's where I am right now. And I've told them all the same thing. And they can't come and piggyback off what I'm doing with Federer and Novak and Rafa and all of them. If they come to me and they ask me if I can ask them for something, that's different. But to cause problems for me because they can see what I'm doing and then say, oh, she's like this, she's like that, I'm not accepting that. That's not the Indian culture I grew up in. We were always very progressive. We were encouraged to study, to come forward, to introduce ourselves to people, to be respectful. Even in my church, I tell Father Larry, if people come up and say, oh, that's her, they're saying Eddie likes her, I tell them, I don't like Eddie, and I'm not involved with him. I never was, and I never will be. Because it just became too much. To go to the point where you're expecting somebody to get a psychiatric assessment, to take psychiatric treatment that they don't need, it's too much for somebody like me. Make your own decisions for your own lives and your own families and leave me out of it. Because if I come to people for help financially, it's because I haven't had those opportunities to come up, to earn well in this country. And I work hard. Now with my health, I can't put in extra hours. But whenever I could, I did it. I took whatever extra hours, and I did a lot of extra hours so that I could pay my rent and get food and get my transportation. I lived independently. I didn't depend on others. I didn't make a nuisance of myself. I didn't turn up at their homes uninvited or expect them to include me in every occasion. I didn't. But once in a while, as somebody's sister or somebody's aunt or somebody's relative, it would be nice to be included. But after my mother told me how they feel and that they don't like me and they don't want me there and not to interfere, I let go. I said, that's fine. You should have told me before I started taking things to the police when I didn't know what was happening and I didn't understand. You should have told me then. And I told my mom, they're doing the same thing now. She's saying no. I said to her, yeah, I'm not going to be hauled to the police station again. They must stay out of my life now. And I said, if you're getting upset and you're telling them, then they're taking it out on me. And it's not fair to me. I told my mom, I said, if you need to speak to somebody in the church or something like that, then you and Anita should do it, because they were actually recommended. My mom's doctor recommended that she gets counseling, and she didn't want to do it. I said to her, you know, Mom, they're telling you for your own good. This was a while back. When I need counseling, I take it. I ask my doctor, I say, can you please set me up with a counselor or set me up with somebody, because I need somebody outside of my situation to talk to. Or I go through the church. Even in South Africa, after I got attacked outside my residence, we had counseling on campus. I took advantage of it. I used it. I didn't take it out on others. So for me, it's about taking self-responsibility and expecting others to respect my decisions, because I don't interfere in their lives in any way. And if they don't like who I am, they don't like my accomplishments, they don't like the fact that I studied, they don't like the fact that I tried to better myself, that I tried to get into good paying jobs, that I'm open to traveling as an executive assistant, that's perfectly fine with me. I really, it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there, because I've tried my best to please the family, and especially my uncles, my aunts. I've tried my best. And if they are not happy with who I am, that's fine now. Because if you don't like me, you don't like me. I can't force you to like me. And I can't force you to love me and come spend time with me. If they want to spend time with Auntie Delisa's family and invest in them and help them, that's perfectly fine. It's got nothing to do with me. Just the way that what I do for Roger Federer and what I do for Bono and the One Campaign and other organizations, Out of the Cold, United Way, that's got nothing to do with them. So they can focus on who they want to help in the family and who they want to see come up. And to be honest with you, that's how it's always been. Even when I was a kid, my grandmother used to tell me, write to your uncles, get some support from them. Tell them to call you. And I used to say to her, they got their own lives, they're not worried. And she said, no, write to them, they'll help you. I said to her, no, I don't want. And that's exactly what they used to do. They used to tell me, we got our own problems, we got our own lives, we got this, we got that. So I said to her, you granny, when you go there, you make sure you stay in touch with me. And that's what I did. I stayed in touch with my grandmother, and my grandmother was the one that used to try to guide me, and help my mom also. Because we were alone. We were alone in Zimbabwe. And those few families that were there in Kwe Kwe, they were like family to us. So it really, to me, it doesn't matter anymore. Once I hit 50 and I saw that nobody even bothered to come spend time with me or say, hey, let's get together, let's visit Belinda, I was like, just forget it. And even at work, they were asking me. I said to them, no, they're not bothered. They got their own lives. They're not interested in my life. So it's hard to accept it, but unfortunately, sometimes that happens. And I think once you accept it, you're more free. You can move forward with your life. And you can carry on. The same thing with Damian Howard of the Jesuits. I mean, initially, he was the one that said to me, you have a calling. And I tried to keep in touch with him. And everyone made a big song and dance out of it. I don't stay in touch with him anymore, because it's got nothing to do with them. If they want to get to know Damian, they should call the Jesuits there in England and say, oh, hi, can we speak to Damian Howard? We heard about you and we'd like to get to know you. See how far. Damian's not a very friendly person. He's not. Even for me to get, but the time I had with him, I had to go through my friend, Bruce Botha. Damian didn't want to take me for spiritual direction. But I didn't want anybody else, so he took me. And he's right, it was a long time ago. I have not spoken to him for over 5 years. I've not emailed him or called him. And if people keep doing it, that's what I'll do. The only person I know that wants me in their life is Bono. So I'll nurture that relationship and my relationships with the One Campaign, because he sent a message to me. That's how I know. So everybody else, you don't want me in your life, that's perfectly fine. You can't be bothered to speak well of me, that's perfectly fine. But don't bring your negativity and what you think of me to break my career, because that's not fair. You've had your careers. You've had the opportunity to buy properties, to own them, to travel. And even when they make their plans, when they go to Zimbabwe or when they go to family reunions in Las Vegas, they don't include me. So, and then they're saying, I'm too hard on people. How am I too hard on people? Whenever I've had a party, I've tried to include them. My mother's told me they don't want to come. Leave them out. So I've left them out. If they don't like me, they don't like me. It's fine. People have told me I remind them too much of my dad. That's also fine. That's good. I've done whatever I can to help my mom to adjust to how they've become with me, because it hurts her. It hurts her. I don't have anything to do with them. Even my cousins, I made the effort with Uncle Louis's children, with Uncle Marcus's children. I made the effort to try to build those relationships. If they're not interested in staying in touch with me, that's fine. I mind my own business and I carry on, because they don't agree with me on anything. They don't agree with me on what they're doing to try to create seeds that are more resilient. I volunteer with Bono. That's one of the things that him and Bill Gates do. They don't agree with my worldviews, so that's fine. I go to church, I'm informed by the church, I try to educate myself. They don't agree, they don't agree. It's good. But don't use the Indian culture to tell me it's the Indian culture. It's not.